All right. Well, first, were you in the service when you were in the war? Or
Yeah.
in the service?
World War II, yeah.
Or were you drafted, or did you
No, I enlisted.
enlisted?
Yeah, in the United States Coast Guard. September 1942, and I was discharged in February of 46. I was assigned to convoy duty in the North Atlantic. I made 4 round trips, 2 to Casablanca in front of Scotland, Glasgow, Scotland, and Liverpool, England. What we did was take troops, flyers over to Casablanca in Scotland, and we brought back prisoners of war. And we done that 4 round trips. In fact, some of the flyers that we took over at one trip, we would bring back wounded in a second trip. But then after 4 round trips in the North Atlantic, I was sent to the South Pacific through the Panama Canal via Hawaii, and out in the Pacific all we did was deliver supplies. No troops or soldiers, I think, mostly airstriplings for aircraft carriers and cases of beer for soldiers, and motion picture projectors for the troops for morale purposes. And I spent about 6 months in and around New Guinea delivering that stuff, and after a certain period of time, after 18 months, they sent me home for rehabilitation. Because when you're overseas for 18 months, you go. So I was home in Trenton when the war ended, so believe it or not. I was at home that whole month of August. And then after that, I went back to San Francisco, and I did work for a guy, separating guys from the service for 6 months. Then I was separated, and Washington's birthday, 46. That's about all I can tell you. I didn't get no medals or anything like that. I just served in that theater of operations, European and Asiatic Pacific. That's it.
But you were in Casablanca, weren't
Yeah, twice.
you? You were in Africa.
But
Yeah,
at the beginning of the war, like, what do you remember about the day Pearl Harbor was bombed?
I was home at Pearl Harbor. I wasn't even in the service. Pearl Harbor was 41, December. I went into 42. Now I was working here. I was on a midnight shift from 12 to 8, 12 midnight to 8 in the morning. And I came off this, that's when it happened, Sunday morning.
Yeah.
That's when I found out about, well, I knew where I was at Pearl Harbor. I was in the factory. I was 18 years old, waiting to go into service in Roebling, New Jersey, Johnny Roebling's. I worked in Roebling's in Trenton, but I was making submarine nets, but then they shipped me down to Roebling, New Jersey, and I was working in a scrapyard, you know, until I got time to go into service. I joined the Coast Guard before they could draft me. See, I was going to get drafted in the Army, and I didn't want no parts of the Army, so I joined the Coast Guard, and I figured I'd have a soft job here in the States. But at that time, the Coast Guard was doing delivering all the troops, and in fact, maining the assault boats on invasions. But the Navy had a lot of troubles on their own. We were doing all the so-called jobs that they couldn't do. And I almost got involved in that, but thank God I didn't. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here talking to you.
Yeah.
That's about all I can tell you.
I guess, how did most people feel about the war when it first started?
Well,
What was the general? I guess everybody was just scared about being drafted.
well, everybody's getting scared because they thought the Japs was going to come and invade us. And well, as far as I was concerned, I knew I was going to have to go. There was no doubt about that. But I didn't want to go in the Army because I was in the National Guard when I was 15 years old. I lied about my age, and I had enough of the Army, you know. So when it looked like I was going to get drafted, I went into service. In fact, 2 days after I went to the Coast Guard, the Army came down, and the MPs come down to get me. And my father says, he ain't here. They come down to get me because they were dodging the draft, but I was already in the Coast Guard.
Thank God.
So that was what's good. That's all I can tell you. But as far as the wartime, what I consider this, I was only 19 years old. When I got out, I was 23, so my best part of my life was just in the war, you know. But I went where I was told and did what I was told. That's all I can tell you.
Well, did you ever see any battle?
Oh, no combat, no. I was in submarine area. When I was in the North Atlantic, we had to go on submarine alert, but they already cleaned it out. I mean, it wasn't hazardous. They got rid of the subs and all.
What about like the refugees you guys had to take back? Remember that?
Well, we didn't take the refugees. We brought back prisoners.
Prisoners.
German prisoners of war. We took over flyers, and then later on we took over racks. And we always brought back prisoners of war because our ship was 5,000 people. Carried 5,000. My job was I was a quartermaster. I was a signalman, and I was with the old man up on the bridge. That's the captain.
Yeah, and you steered the ship through the Panama Canal.
Yeah, but that ain't nothing.
Yes, it is.
The idea is that was my job all the way through the war, even in the South Pacific, same thing. I did a lot of signaling and navigation work. I used to lay out the charts for the old man and take the Greenwich time, you know, and a few sites, and did a lot of signaling for him, both flags and with the lights. And that's about all I can tell you.
But you had to study that. They had to teach you.
Oh, well, yeah. After I joined the service, I had to go to school in Manhattan Beach, New York, quartermaster signalman school for 3 months. And when I came out of there, I was petty officer, 3rd class. That's like a sergeant in the Army. So I was already rated. I had a rate after only being 4 or 5 months in the service. So then that's when I went to Baltimore, and they put me on as General Mitchell. I don't know if you heard of Billy Mitchell.
No, what is?
Well, he was the guy that. Well, that's a long story, but the ship was named after him. And I christened his ship, and his wife was there. And I had the flag. I brought the flag home then. I ran up. See, William Mitchell, he was the general that he first told the Army that they could sink a battleship, you know, and they laughed at him.
From a plane?
Yeah, from a plane, yeah. And they laughed about it in the service. In fact, they court-martialed him. But later on, they made a hero out of him, you know. But I was his first ship I was on, William Mitchell. It was a transport, like I said, it carried 5,000 people, and our crew was about 170 people. So you can see it was a good size. Today would be like a liner, you know.
Yeah. When you were on your boat, do you remember, did you guys like hear about what was going on? The war efforts and like, different battles like D-Day and
Well, we all look forward to the ending it, but actually, we just took it day by day, that's what, to be honest. We just did what we were told, same thing, anybody on any ship or any outfit, in the Army, or Navy, Marines, anybody, you did what you were told, and that was it. And you really didn't know what was going on until after the war.
yeah.
Because everything was security. They didn't tell the people how many people were killed or anything like that. That was security because it wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
But the most focus was on getting the war ended. And each individual, like me and any other guy, we just did what we were told, and we went where they sent us. That's all. But we didn't know what was going on. So anybody tells you they're nuts because you just followed your orders.
Yeah. I guess it felt like a long time on that since you knew what was
yeah.
going on.
Well, I was in 42 months. That's a big cut out of anybody's life.
That's almost 4 years.
But I never got wounded or anything like that, and I came back safe. So that's all I'm happy about.
Yeah.
A lot of guys that I know never came back. They were in they were in the Army or, you know, the Marines or something like that. What are you going to do? We just did our job, and that's all. We lost a lot of Coast Guardsmen too in the landing. See, we were mostly in landing boats, and like I told you, I got a detail on that. Unfortunately, I got shipped to Baltimore. They put me on this transport. Otherwise, I would have been on that landing boats. They're the ones that come in there, and they blew the hell out of
A lot of them
everybody.
got killed because
And I didn't even know until I talked to these Marines. They said every guy that took us in was a Coast Guardman. I was in Normandy and in the South Pacific. And that's what we were trained for, a small boat. boat handling.
What about when they bombed Hiroshima? What do you remember about that?
Well, I was already home. I was home on leave, 30 days leave. See, once you're in the service overseas for 18 months, they have to give you 30-day leave.
Yeah.
Well, I was home in Trenton when they bombed it. I was in August of 1945, I think it was. So we were all glad. In fact, everybody was going up and down the street and raising hell, you know,
Oh, really?
drinking and clapping their hands and all that. It was all happy the war was over.
But I mean, what about before they bombed it? Did everybody want it to be bombed? Or was
I don't know the answer to that. But in retrospect, I believe that Truman did the right thing because he saved millions of lives by wiping them out.
Yeah.
Because they would have kept in fact, they were prepared to die to the last man in Japan because they're like, at that time, they were like fanatics.
Yeah.
They believed that the emperor was God, but they don't believe that anymore. But, so what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And as far as my reaction was, just like the average guy, we went along with whatever the government did, and that was it. Or whatever the army did or the Navy.
You said you remember celebrations when
Oh yeah, we had celebrations after the war. Everybody celebrated. They were so glad the war was over, naturally.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people lost friends and relatives and all that. Or if they didn't lose them, they were wounded or something like that. But it's all a part of the war. It's all over now. It's all history now.